Hi there, I'm Andy Skinner and welcome to another tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to focus on the Believe in Yourself stamp. And I'm going to show you a technique that I like to call the moving ink technique. So we're going to be using the Cosmic Shimmer Water-Based Inks along with the binary stencil that you can see here in the background with the numbers. So without further ado, we'll pop down to the desktop and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, for this tutorial, we're going to be using the hopscotch stamp, Believe in Yourself. The stamp's mounted on the back onto acetate. Okay, it's a red rubber stamp, cling mounted. And we're also going to be using one of my new stencils. This is 8x8 and it's called Binary. And you'll notice all the stencils have these slots, so they're fit into most ring binders, just ideal for organising your stencils. And I'm going to be using some of the colours contained in our free packs. So this one's called Origins. Okay, and the colours got Cobalt Blue Hue, Firecracker Red, and Marigold, and I will be using the Marigold from that. And in this one, it's called Art Pop, and the colours are Turquoise Blue, Golden Green, and Hot Magenta. And I'll be using Turquoise Blue and Hot Magenta. So I've dispensed these three colours into mister bottles, 50% ink, 50% water, and I've popped a little label on there with the colour names. Yeah, these are great for misting, and I'll show you in this tutorial. And as well as the 3 packs, these water-based inks come in a whole spectrum of 20 colours for you to choose from. Okay, let's start. So this is watercolour card. I'm using this because I'm really going to flood this with water. So I'm going to use a soft brush, load it with water. Okay, and get this card nice and wet. Yep, there we go. Just make sure you work it well into the watercolor card or mixed media card if you're using that. Okay, let's move that water away and we shall start misting. So the first color I'm going to use is the Marigolds. I'm just going to lightly spritz this on. Now this is onto very wet card, remember. So these colors are going to move. Now I'm just going to turn this over and just spritz a little bit of water on the back just to stop the warping. It's warping slightly, so if you spray water on the back, I think it probably needs a little bit more. Now that's better, and that card's now just settling down. Hard to see on camera, but it's nice and flat now. So the second color is the Hot Magenta, and again, just nice light spritzes. And now the third color, the Turquoise Blue. So with these 3 colors, you're never going to muddy. They're very safe colors to use. Okay, and just keep going till you're happy with it. I just kind of want all the white covered for now. Remember, this has got 50% water with these, so our card is very wet. And this is going to allow those colors to move, to shift. So now I'm going to be using the thin bleach, and I'm just going to spatter into this. Okay, and when the bleach hits, because the card's so wet, over time as it dries, you'll see a kind of marbling effect. These colors will kind of move and swirl into each other. I'm going to leave this to dry naturally. I don't like using the heat tools too often because if you're using a very hot heat tool, the pigment in the ink will start to evaporate away with the water. So if you've got the patience, just leave it dry naturally. So now the card is completely dry. There we go. So I'm just going to place this between some parchment paper. You don't have to do this, but I like to get the card nice and flat. So I'm just going to use my iron and then just iron over the parchment paper. I do have a silicone mat beneath it. That should be enough. Yep, lovely and flat. Okay. We're now going to use a stencil on this. So this is the binary stencil. Make sure it's right way up. Now for the stenciling, I'm going to use the stamping platform just to keep everything in place. Okay, so the magnets, just move those to the side. Okay, so be very careful with these magnets because if they snap together, it can be very difficult to get them apart. Just be warned. Okay, so line up your stencil. Pop the magnets so you want them on the stencil and on the card as well to secure everything in place. Just make sure it's nice and square. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, one more. So nothing's going to move now, the card or the stencil. Alternatively, you could just tape down the stencil. I'm going to use a stencil brush for this, and I like the brushes with the domed top. They don't bleed as easily. So pick up some warm white matte chalk paint from Cosmic Shimmer and wipe a little up onto a paper towel. Just gently tap down. You don't want to tap down too hard with a stencil brush. Okay. So I'm going to go across the whole of the stencil. Now, this is white chalk paint. If you're using normal acrylic paint over these water-based inks, they will bleed slightly through. Okay, now I want that for this. I don't want it to be too stark white. I want some of that ink to bleed through. You can get a bleed-proof white, which will stop this happening. But for what I'm doing here, this is the kind of effect. I don't want it to be too stark white. So that water-based ink bleeding through will look really nice. Okay, I think we're nearly there. Right, make sure you wash your brush out. And now remove the magnets. Okay, there you go. You see how powerful these magnets are. And now the reveal. So happy with that. It's a bit lighter at the top, so I've got the numbers quite heavy at the bottom, working up to the top of the card, getting lighter as it goes up. Very happy. Okay, so clear this up. Do make sure you wash your stencil. Okay, so we get ready for the next stage, and we're gonna stamp it. Okay, so I've placed the card into the stamping platform with the magnets, and we're going to be using the Believe in Yourself stamp. So we just remove it from the acetate and just line it up centrally, square in the middle, leaving some space at the bottom for the sentiment. Make sure you got the sentiment the right way up. And just place that below. Again, making sure it's as square as you can get it. Okay, so now we're going to put the top plate on the platform. And just make sure it's right around, slot it in, and then press down solidly on the stamp. If you haven't got a stamping platform, just use an acrylic block. Okay. So we're going to be using VersaFine in Onyx Black for this. Pull up the platform. Okay, and again, we're going to stamp this. I'm tapping very gently. You don't have to tap really hard. Cover all of the stamp. This VersaFine pad again is very, very juicy. Pop your lid back on, always. Bring the top plate down. And press firmly, but not too hard. So actually, that's very, very good. I think it looks perfect, but I'm just going to go again one more time. Okay. So I'm going to apply just a little this time, not too much ink. Bring that down, final stamp. Yep, perfect. Perfect. So, remove the magnets. I'll just gently lift this up because the ink's still wet, so you can have a look. Yeah, I love it. I think you're agree. It's not too much of a complicated technique if you're new to this. I'll just show you this one. I've actually, rather than use a stencil brush, I've spritzed through this with the turquoise blue in the mister. So another option there for you. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I will definitely see you in the next one. Goodbye.